Not that it matters, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yep. I left my... Oh well, I left my sunglasses. Left my sunglasses in the house. And it's an actual sunny day, right? Winters in New England are very gray, right? It's kind of like winter in New England is kind of like regular England all the time. That must have been what happened when the colonies got here. They must have said, oh my God, it's only like home in the winter. And they're just like, I can handle that. Why is it gotta be cloudy in summer? But anyway, how you guys doing? I have been running roughshod through the Talmud. One of my friends assures me that that my life might be in danger for reading the Talmud. So that'll be fun. I mean, like, I've gotten lots and lots of views. I mean, I'm sure there are Jews on YouTube that follow the Talmud, that look for Talmudic stuff on YouTube. And so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, like, if the Mossad wants, they can tell the government to hurt me, or to allow them to hurt me, right? Which is how you get kirked, apparently. Except I didn't take any of their dirty money. No blood money here. But I am mostly just excited in general. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Be honest with you. I think this Venezuela thing was a good move. I think it was ultimately a good move. There are two kinds of people that don't like the Venezuela move that I noticed. There are socialists that don't like it because Venezuela's going to be capitalized. And I mean, like primarily it's like the socialist that doesn't like it, right? But then there's just this other, like, weird group that they're not socialists, they're nationalists, but but they ultimately are non-interventionists. And I'm just like, dude, like, get over it, because I guarantee you it was socialists in America had the American CIA and others put up to this. Especially because probably there's guys that failed on purpose for the globalists. It was because they were double, triple agents or something, right? America had choices to do things when it happened with Hugo Chavez that started this process. Maduro is just the head of the order that brought in Hugo Chavez, because it's basically all of that stuff. I'm not sure if it's the exact same political party, but it's the same fucking situation. And then everybody talks about, oh, he was a bus driver, yada, yada, yada. You know, El Chapo, like I saw El Chapo, and it's just like, that guy does not look like a monster. That guy looks like my fucking grandpa, right? You know, he just looks like a kindly, like, young boomer gentleman of humble means. That's what he fucking looked like. But there's a manner in which they do things over there. Where they can get away with that shit, right? And so whether anybody likes it or not, we're not done, dealing with communism, not wanting America to exist, but on its own terms. And there are forces that just want to, like, you see this whole tariff situation, right? The only reason why people are complaining about tariffs is because they can't believe that we're jacking up the prices on our shit. Because they can't believe. I mean, like, was America in bad economic shape or not? As socialists, aren't you always like, oh my God, everything's terrible? Yeah, things have been terrible in America. We better try some tariffs to undo the terrible. But you see, everything was great in America by your social measure before the guys you didn't like were in charge. And there's always a bigger outrage over who the executive is, as opposed to having any outrage of the legislature per se. Right? I mean, you can people complain about it, but it's never outrage. Oh my God, I'm outraged the Republicans are controlling Congress. It's never quite like that. It's just like, you're gonna complain about it, but you're not really fucking outraged. You get outraged at things that happen, and you especially get outraged at bipartisan things that happen. Hey. Happy New Year. Who's this? It's it's Nicholas. Yes, I haven't seen you since last year. Good on you, man. Happy New Year. So we have to prove, as America, for the sake of preserving this idea of Western values, in the sense that they're not threatening our peaceful existence, right? But then at the same time, look, like, just because we live in a world of fucking psyops doesn't mean every fucking human atrocity that falls outside of your ideology is a fucking psyop. All right, there's human atrocity going on in Venezuela that wasn't there before Hugo Chavez showed up. I'll just keep saying Hugo Chavez to remind you that this isn't just about Maduro. It's about poor choices that were made on behalf of the Venezuelan people by the Venezuelan elites that chose socialism. All right, I showed pictures in my show of Venezuelan uprising. Like 5 times as many people standing in front of a very small group of Venezuelan soldiers with like a couple of APCs, and they're armed. And just like, those people don't have guns. Those people never did further escalation. Ultimately, those people have been simply petitioning the United States for 8.5, 9 years since that day, probably. Just like, we can't do it. We made the fool. We were fools. We gave up our guns. dispute. So they were never going to liberate themselves without a bloodshed that is unnecessary when the United States could enforce its international law agreements and do better on the problem. Nobody like capturing Maduro this way is, oh, it's really about the oil. You're right. And you know what? Capturing Al Capone was really about the alcohol. See how I flipped that on you, fool. Yeah, it is. Because guess what? If you can't fucking have a goddamn civil, intelligent, proper conversation with the authorities, what the fuck are you doing? Right? You know, it's just like, you know, you couldn't find a man of integrity who, you know, like, it wasn't like Al Capone was gangsta. He was a poor man who became a made man off of, you know, money from, you know, from these illegal operations. And you see, like, the reason why this never worked with somebody that got busted for cannabis is because cannabis is a weed that grows the fuck everywhere. There's too many people. Nobody can fucking corner the market. Al Capone had to fucking set up an infrastructure of fucking secret distilleries and you know, you have to get in the shit that you're just like, you know, like, it's a whole fucking thing as opposed to just growing some shit discreetly and your neighbors don't know nothing about nothing. You know, to try to win the drug war, they had to raise drug awareness, right? They had to make sure that you knew exactly what that fucking pot leaf looked like, and to make you very interested in being a nosy neighbor, right? And we fell for that social cohesion for a long time, right? And so you became afraid to do something so simple because you would think to yourself, I mean, yeah, it's against the law to grow weed, but, you know, it's just another fucking green plant. How the fuck they're really gonna fucking inspect and check and what? And it's just like, well, no, they don't have to. They don't have to fucking be accurate scientific. They could just be tyrants about it. Just get it the fuck done. You've been reported by your neighbor. Your neighbor is above suspicion because they have never been suspected before. So they are above suspicion. Right? And then you live with the horribleness of the accusation. Or you live by the horribleness of people that agree with the fact. So, you know, we have been really hold on, just pulling into this precarious parking lot, and I don't trust this parking lot to not have a fucking fender bender. Okay, there we go. So, what was I? Where was I at? So yeah. So anyway, like, America's history has been more than fucking kind. We have been on the pro-socialist kick. We decided to go with the ideas of what Barack Obama was happy with and everything else. And you know, because we're all Americans here, sometimes liberals win, and we gotta struggle through it, and we gotta fight the real problems, you know, because there'll be real consequences on top of, all right, let's try your goddamn fucking ideas, but, you know, I do not want a gun pointed at my head, you know, like, or whatever it takes to go to whichever extreme is necessary. I think that ultimately, if you can't appreciate that peace doesn't matter with such a fucking stack of horseshit lies, right? The reason why nobody is going to fucking retaliate for what we did is because whether forces that could retaliate like it or not, they've lost the plot themselves. They can't get their own nations behind their own grievances. And there's plenty of nations that they needed that are on our side. And there's a lot of lesser nations that were more interested in being capitalists because they could see how things were going better. And, whatever. Everybody's fucked up. Every country's fucked up. The fuck you comparing anything else to? That's why I fucking loved the debates between Trump and McCain, right? He implied that it's very possible that America can produce a monster. And nobody believed that. And so, all right, man, well, I'm just going to keep owning what I am doing because you don't approve of me. And I want you to think of me as a monster to prove my point. And so because Trump has been called a monster at double standard, Trump can now go after real monsters at regular standard. And that's what's pissing you off. And you think that this is some fucking atypical turn-of-the-century imperialist fucking move, right? It's just like, so Trump's not Hitler anymore, but he's certainly an imperialist. Okay, so what is he? Is he Queen Elizabeth? Or Queen Victoria. He's Queen Victoria. Excuse me. That's a more appropriate title. He's Queen Victoria. A lot of fucking international atrocities happened legally in the British Empire abroad. And, everybody knows the Gandhi story. So that went on into the so-called civilized 20th century. So give me a fucking break. All of our countries either are or have barbarians in them. Deal with it. That's fucking life. People make their own fucking choices. Now, the worst part you're going to hate about that is that you have to continue to admit that, yeah, we probably shouldn't ban guns because conservatives have a lot of guns and I need to buy a lot of guns now because I may need to fight a conservative. So stop pretending you don't. Stop pretending that you're going to fucking be a martyr because a conservative is going to shoot you. And your death will mean the end of guns and somebody you love will never get shot ever again because you're the last person to ever get shot in your fucking country. Fuck off. You will never be. Australia still has shootings. Canada still has shootings. It means fucking nothing. It means less than nothing. It means you don't value your own life, which is how they want it. Hey, listen. Oh, where am I from? I am from wherever the fuck you can figure out. That's the game. Because I don't hide, but that's also none of your direct business. Speak Russian. I don't understand you. I know. Russia! Did you know that Russia also opposes the Venezuela thing? That's funny. Why is that? Why is Russia against the Venezuela thing? I thought Donald Trump was making Putin happy. I thought that this was all great things for the Ruskies because they became fascist capitalists. Oh, the collapse of the Berlin Wall was the grandest fucking mistake. Thanks, Russia, whoever the fuck you are. have fun with your logic or whatever, or maybe you're just a shithead having fun and it's not that big of a deal and you're impressed by a comeback. I don't know. Don't care. Let's see who we got here. We got Kelly Boyle. Hi, Kelly. And hi, Bob. Anyway, so no, I think if you can objectively see that things are better in Venezuela and people are happy about the way things are in Venezuela under a light touch of American business interest. I'm not saying it's going to be a light touch, but then again, I could be gaslighting you and calling a heavy touch a light touch, which is why debate and arguments are good things. If you have intelligence to debate. Otherwise, I'll just pull a Play-Doh and I'll flex on you. And then my last point is that honestly, by this logic of Venezuela, I am good with him going for Colombia too, because Colombia is implicated in the particular charges that have initiated this matter. Oh, and it'll be adorable if Maduro's stupid enough to open his mouth and incriminate himself further with things that have nothing to do with anything else. I'll find it adorable if he accidentally ousts a spy that was not supposed to be there. By one of our own. Wouldn't that be funny too? There's so many funny things that could happen with this situation, right? All sorts of things. And so, hey, listen, man. I'm just wondering, like, the people on the right, Republicans, they've gotten used to ontological shock. That's great, right? I think that that's fantastic that they've gotten used to ontological shock because, we can work with that. They may be wrong, but they also realize that they were wrong before. And that's great. You're learning. The left is still having lots and lots of problems with their cognitive loop and that they still think that it's 2009. I feel like they all think it's still 2009. When we understood less the true conspiracy of the crimes of the Bush administration, right? The Bush administration has become such a quiet monster of the last 25 years because we've been kind of so focused on Obama and, and Trump still stands by his issues with guys like McCain and, other guys, because especially foreign policy and the consequences, there's still those things there. So there's a lot of neocon stuff still in there. And it's, what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't know. We have to change over time. We still have neocon attitudes that have a lot of predominant power. I mean, TPUSA is a neocon thing. Trying something new. Having found actual success with a formula that, 2012, when they established themselves, nobody would have looked at 2012 and said that TPUSA was going to be a predominant cultural force. TV's not going to be into that. Well, America's not into TV anymore. Isn't that great? America's not into television anymore. That's part of the healing process. But the left, the left is still kind of into television, so you can kind of see the problem there. But the right isn't into television anymore, and that's also really fucking healthy and good. And TV is still on the decline. So, long story short is, listen, I'm fine with keeping this up as long as you're consistent, as long as you're doing the proper thing, the clean way, the etc., right? Come and get me. Come and get me. Who's the next idiot that wants to say come? Why does Colombia want to just say come and get me now? That kind, like they may fare better, but I mean, like, this is like V for Vendetta when the fucking tyrant is threatening V on the TV. It's kind of like that in a insultingly ironic way. Excuse me. Yeah. Good and evil exists. Hi, Elias 70 exists. There is purpose in life because God exists. Unless there's purpose to life, you cannot judge anything as good or evil. Maybe. I kind of can see that. I would say that my life has purpose and I can judge good and evil. And diatribes like this that I'm going on are about that. Are about the good and evil in practice. Right? Which I think gets back to how religion's fucked with you, because we've conditioned ourselves to interpret the story in the Garden of Eden as that it is forbidden for you to have your own personal coming to understand right and wrong. And that you assume that nobody knows right and wrong. And so only the person who quotes God from the Bible is right. And all else is wrong and thus of Satan. That is a mindfuck. This is why I'm reading the Talmud. The Talmud tells us a thing or two about the minds that preceded the mind of the Christian that we know. So yeah, so I'm perfectly good with Colombia. Like Cuba should already be in hot trouble because nobody knew about the Cubans. So they're reporting the dead Cubans, and nobody wants to talk about the dead Cubans now that they've been reported. They can't deny it. The report is now out there. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the dead Cubans that were part of the fighting force for Maduro. See? Do you see? Do you see why I read Che Guevara now? Go back and watch my read on Che Guevara. And then my interview with Bruce McDonald, who is going to be a naturalized Costa Rican probably this year. I don't know, soon, because he loves it there and they love him, right? He's the best legal immigrant in Costa Rica. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, because look, I could sit there and I could talk to Hispanics all day. Not one of them are going to be a fucking anarchist. As far as the moral ones, by and large, their population is going to be like most other people, more libertarian interested, unless they're on the left, and then they want a big government that takes care of them and never hurts anybody that they like. All right, I'm going to go take care of my business. Hold on a second. Right and wrong can only be right and wrong if it is objective and not subjective based on eternity, which is God's nature. Right. Exactly. And the catch is that objectivism is very elusive, because I am an objectivist, but that doesn't mean I'm not a subjectivist. I'm both, which is why I didn't read it on the channel, but I have read Ayn Rand, The Epistemology of Objectivism. I've read The Fountainhead, and I've read Atlas Shrugged. And I read Heidegger's Being and Time, which is subjective and kind of the counterpart to objectivism by Ayn Rand. So there's a truth of reality in subjectivism There's a truth of morality in objectivism, and that's why it matters. And that is why many people will object to objectivism, because it forces ontological shock, which can disrupt some core aspect of your heart. And that's why you do have to show a certain decorum and kindness and choice of words in certain debates, right? Because there's going to be kind and good people that are going to have a kind and good way of saying things, and then there's going to be vicious people. And then you have to fucking figure out how you're responding in kind to the initial thing you see, and then how people react to the initial thing you see. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.